Hey there. Welcome to This Week in Pharmacy. I am your host, Todd Urey, founder of the Pharmacy Podcast. And right out of the gate, happy National Pharmacist Month. This is an exciting day for us in celebrating our pharmacists that are out there right now working in so many sectors of healthcare. You are our heroes, and I just want to wish you all a happy National Pharmacist Month. I know it's not easy, but 2024 is going to be a much better year than what 2023 was. And we have an amazing show today with just a stacked full bunch of guests. Actually, I think this is the biggest TWIRx when it comes to how many guests we have today, how many features that we have today. So if you're listening on podcast form, just stay with us, suggest any of the topics that we might be missing throughout This Week in Pharmacy. And our listeners give us so much feedback, and it's how we actually find other people to talk with and helping to understand what's innovating pharmacy care, what is innovating healthcare. And it's coming from our audience. It's coming from our listeners. So I want to thank you. All right, let's jump in right now. I want to share with you some news. I want to talk about what's happening in our industry and really just get into some exciting things. First of all, we are celebrating the third annual Most Influential Leaders in Pharmacy. The event is live. It's a live stream. I know I always torture myself with this live stuff because anything can go right or anything can go wrong. But I'm positive. I'm always a glass half full. This is actually 3/4 full. Drinking some ice water today from actually a cup that came from Skype and Company, which is my favorite accounting firm for independent community pharmacy. Thank you, Skype and Company. Thank you guys for sending me this cup. I appreciate it. All right. So the third annual awards program is on January 17th. It's going to start sharp at 12:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. We're hoping that you're going to be able to listen in live. If you can't listen in live, do not worry. We will be recording it and pushing it out through the Pharmacy Podcast Network feeds. But this is an important day for us to celebrate the people in our industry that are truly making changes from an advocacy perspective, from a pharmacy, community pharmacy, national community chain perspective, specialty, long-term care. We cover, I want to say, almost 19 sectors of pharmacy that have come into this, and the voting was explosive. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that voted for somebody that you wanted to recognize, that you wanted to rise up. We're in this together, RX, I always say. And Pharmacy 50, that's what this is all about. It's a celebration of our profession, and it's really a celebration of our innovative leaders. Hey, Dr. Michael Shore just posted something yesterday that I want to bring to our listeners' attention. And that is, if you haven't already heard, Florida pharmacist, he writes, did you know that there is a bill pending in Tallahassee that would replace pharmacists in retail pharmacies with technicians? And this would place techs in a position of triaging patients, a clinical function to corral, counsel, or triage a patient suffering with a possible serious condition. We all love our technicians. The technicians are the right hands and left hands, back hands, everything hands, the support of our pharmacists. We know that. However, there are certain positions of what a pharmacist does to ensure the safety of the public that takes on 4, 6, 8, sometimes 10 years of education and ongoing education. That's extremely important. And I agree with Michael's sentiment where he's concerned about this. I want you to reach out to your senators. If you're in the state of Florida right now, reach out to your senators, a House member. Just voice your concern about Bill SB 444. Once again, that's Florida State Bill SB 444. And Michael, I want to commend you. You have been an educator for me for years. I've been linked up with you for years, and I really appreciate your feed. And I appreciate that you take the time to write this and to care enough to share this with us. All right, news of the day. If you haven't already heard, once again, if you don't know this, then that means you probably aren't in pharmacy. You might be watching. If you're a consumer and you want to really understand what's happening in pharmacy, This Week in Pharmacy is a great program because this is the insiders in the profession that are telling you like it is. There's a lot of churn happening in pharmacy right now. There's a lot of change happening in pharmacy right now, and even the payment models that are commanding this. And CVS Health is closing dozens of pharmacies that were embedded in Target locations. And I've talked to a lot of you about Target. I've talked to a lot of you about different organizations that were chain pharmacies that have been have evolved, and this is frustrating to me because a lot of pharmacists that were part of the original Target pharmacies got to transition from pure Target pharmacy or pure Target of what they were doing in pharmacy to CVS. And now CVS is closing multiple stores and probably trying to push a lot of that client and customer base to some of their existing locations close to that specific Target. It's very frustrating, but it shows you that we're really going through a major change in pharmacy and in community and in national community chain pharmacy. And I want to know your thoughts on this. I want to know if you work for a Target, if you are concerned, if you work for CVS, reach out to us anonymously. We'll actually play some of your clip, either it's a voice clip or it's something that we written, and you want to voice something on This Week in Pharmacy, you are absolutely welcome. All right. From the Provider Journal, this is by Amy Russo. And Amy writes, just this morning, the doctor shortage is crippling healthcare. Could pharmacists help? Lifespan at the University of Rhode Island are partners in a pilot program that would boost access to healthcare through broadening the role of pharmacists. This is kind of a no duh to me. I'm sure you listening right now on your way to work, or you're driving somewhere and you're listening to the podcast. You're probably rolling your eyes right now. We absolutely know that there is a physician shortage. We know how long it takes to get in to see your physician, and we know that pharmacists are seeing people in their communities and their patients 9 times more than what their physician is seeing. And no, AMA, American Medical Association, this is not scope creep. So stop using that terminology. Pharmacists do not want to diagnose. Pharmacists do not want to do that. They want to follow up with the treatment that you set in place. You are the physicians, you are the quarterbacks. The ball is the treatment. Pass the ball, get out of the way of the running back, get out of the way of your tight end pharmacist or your wide receiver pharmacist, but get out of their way and allow the pharmacist to do what they were trained to do with 6 years, 8 years, like I said, 10 years of school and training. And this is an important thing that the public has to understand. So I love when people write on this to get the public thinking about this. Why isn't my pharmacist doing point of care testing? Why isn't my pharmacist running my DNA test to see if the medication that was prescribed to me is actually going to work in my system? So I want you to think, pharmacist, if you're out there and you're frustrated and you want your own position to change, you're in a position that you're not happy with, start by documenting what you see as a solution. If you're not part of a solution, if you're not part of using your voice, your writings, your blogs, your podcasts to help to educate the public's never going to understand what's going on. You know as well as I do, if you say the word pharmacist to someone who doesn't understand healthcare, they're the average consumer. They think that you might wear a white coat, might have a tie on, might not, standing behind a counter, counting some tablets or pills. It's just not the case. Pharmacists are so integrated into everything, integrated into formulary management and disease state management and diabetes and so many hypertension, the rare diseases. Read this article. Once again, it's from the Provider Journal, title, The Doctor Shortage is Crippling Healthcare. Could pharmacists help? The answer is yes, they can help. They are helping. Goodness gracious. All right, let's talk about some positive news. And that is Theresco Bio is releasing something called Brenzavi. And Brenzavi, and please don't make me say this next generic word. Pharmacist out there, if you're looking, you know exactly what this generic concoction is and what this actually is. But there is a new drug that's coming to market It's going to help with diabetes. SGLT2 inhibitor indicated as an adjunct to diet and exercise to improve glycemic control in adults with type 2 diabetes. This is exciting because we've known that there have been medications out there that have been used off-label for weight loss, Wegovy and Ozempic. This is entering the market now. I want you to be aware of it. I want you to study it. And let's do a podcast on this specific medication and treatment around type 2 diabetes. And I want to give a shout out to the Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, IPC, who's been an amazing partner of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, as well as being the sponsor of Pharmacy 50, most influential leaders in pharmacy. They're going to be helping to be very strategic in the distribution of this specific medication to community independent pharmacies that are the educators of their communities. So this has to be in the hands of our community pharmacies out there, so that it is demystifies of what's going on and what the topics are, what the available medications are, and how they are best used on or off label. But really, that should come down to your physician, a discussion with your physician and your pharmacist. But I want to give a shout out to our pharmacist. I want you to be aware of this. Hey, we're excited about our partnership with Urel Pharma. Urel is expanding access to so many different generic medications. We're going to be focused on pain management to start off. Please be on the lookout for us distributing a lot of information around Urel Pharma. There's a pain care patch, a pain patch that we're going to be talking about and coming up with Steven Beckman, who's the CEO of Urel. He's actually from Brownsville, Pennsylvania, which is where we're broadcasting live from right now, which is south of Pittsburgh. He's a Brownsville guy, and he invests a lot of his time and efforts and money into our up and coming small town. But Urel is a really interesting company that is very aggressive about supporting patients with pain and a multitude of other conditions. But they're going to start out with pain, and we are going to have pharmacists focused on this. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Mark Garofoli, who's known as hashtag the pain guy. He is the pain guy. He just released a brand new episode out on cannabis usage and pain management. It's extremely interesting episode. You have to listen to it. Just go to the Pharmacy Podcast Network's feed and you'll actually find it there. But shout out to you, pain guy. You're doing an amazing job. And look out for more information on Urel. All right, Pennsylvania Pharmacists Association, my home state, Pennsylvania, the PPA conference and sponsorship exhibitor opportunities are going to be ready. If you want to exhibit there, please reach out to the PPA. If you haven't got your pass for February 2nd through 4th, it's going to be at the Hilton Harrisburg. I want to give a shout out to Chris Antipas. Dr. Antipas is the new oncoming president of the PPA. I'm so excited. That guy is he's a rock star. He never stops moving. He's constantly doing something in pharmacy. And I'm so excited that he's going to help lead the Pennsylvania Pharmacists Association in 2024. Shout out to you, Chris. All right. I want to let you know that we are so excited to be part of the Amplified Healthcare, the Healthcare Amplified Conference that is part of PodFest 2024. My friend, John Largent, who focuses on senior care, specifically in long-term care nursing home facilities. He's a consultant for big organizations like Brookdale, for example. But John introduced me to the Healthcare Amplified team, and now I'm getting to speak with him about the use of networking and podcasting. And it's not so much about podcasting. It's the network where the sweet spots come in and the sweet opportunities come in for collaboration. This is a gathering of a whole bunch of healthcare professionals talking about content usage and development. If you're a podcaster, if you're a content developer, and you want to up your game, you've got to submerge yourself in this conference, Healthcare Amplified. It's going to be on January 25th. It's going to be part of the PodFest Expo 2024. I'm going to be there. I'm dragging Brady with me. Brady's going to come down. And this is the first conference I have ever been to outside of healthcare conferences. I have to admit that. Been in healthcare since 2004. And I've never been to any other industry conference other than something that was obviously mostly about pharmacy. Went to some healthcare conferences like HIMSS, all about technology in healthcare. But going to a conference about podcasting in general is going to really, I think, be a huge education and eye opener for me. So I'm excited to be going to Orlando. All right. Well, let me tell you, I have a hard time understanding some of the obstacles that are in place for pharmacists, and we know that the Naplex has raised its pricing. We are actually retooling the Naplex podcast. We're going to be partnering with other educators to really make Naplex preparation better, so that you're not taking that Naplex course more than once, so that you're not spending money. And I want to give a shout out to our listeners right now. I want you to bring specific issues that are holding you back from practicing at the top of your license. And I don't care what it is. If you don't think it's important, get that out of your mind. It is important, because you are a pharmacist, you are in the market, you see what's happening, you see what's going on. So bring those things to the Pharmacy Podcast Network so that we can vet it, find out if there's solutions out there that you might not have thought of, and then go find the ultimate solution. Once again, Together RX. That's one of my favorite hashtags. Hashtag Together RX. Hey, like I said, we have packed this show with so many guests today. We do have a featured guest that's going to be upcoming. I'm so excited about this guest. I want to introduce Dr. James Wong to you in just a second. But what we're going to do first, before Dr. James comes on, you don't want to miss this interview. We're going to be talking about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. All of that is like, I need to be demystified. I don't know what's going on. I have like $1,000 worth of some crypto. I don't know what it does. I look at it every once in a while, but we're going to demystify that. But before we do, we have an exclusive and a special announcement from one of our clients, RX Safe, and I want to play that for you now. Team for a year.
Thank you, Todd. Sorry, it's halfway with a swallow. I didn't expect you to be so fast. Oh, that's great.
You got to share with us our special guest today, Mr. Eric Holland. Introduce us to Eric and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I'm happy to, Todd. Glad to use your powerful megaphone to the masses to make what I'll consider probably the most exciting announcement of my business lifetime. And that is that after years and years of consideration and searching and talking and looking for what could best serve this industry first, customers and patients, profitability and health, and then ensure the escalation of this business into new and broader opportunities and newer technologies, I've decided to be acquired in whole by ITW. ITW is a global leader in many technologies worldwide, and I'll ask Eric Holland here, who is going to be leading our efforts into the future. Very capable, very intelligent, and very experienced leadership that Eric will be helping RxSafe with, as well as 88 other business units and the technologies that they can share with us as we do more and more development. And also, of course, extremely deep pockets. So it's going to be an exciting journey, and I'm very, very pleased with where we're going. The business will basically continue as it has in terms of our customers and how we interact with them. And I'd love to introduce Eric and let him kind of tell that story.
Sure. No, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So Illinois TWIRx, it's a global industrial company, global manufacturing company, Fortune 200, broken up into a lot of different segments. The segment I come from is the test and measurement group, which Avery Weightronics is a part of. And how that's relevant to this is the Icon business is part of Avery Weightronics. And so the neat thing about this acquisition is now RX Safe and Icon are going to be sitting underneath one roof together, and Bill and I and the Icon and RX Safe teams, we've been working together for over 13 years already. The Icon product is very complementary to RX Safe's, Rapid Pack and Rapid Card solutions, and the RX Safe 1800 as well. And so it really is, a joint operation that is going to really bring a lot of benefits to our customer base. And just really looking forward to the opportunities to kind of drive both businesses together side by side.
Excellent. Eric, give us some background on ITW.
Sure. So ITW is a very large industrial-based manufacturing company. They've got an automotive division. They've got a food division. Like I mentioned, the test and measurement division, and kind of the core strategies that really help ITW be successful in their businesses is our 80-20 front to back process. It allows us to just be best in class and have the best customer facing execution and experiences. The other thing that really sets ITW apart is customer back innovation. We don't have a big centralized think tank R&D group that's just developing products for the sake of developing products. We really core believe in doing customer back innovation and really going into the customer sites, understanding their pain points and developing solutions to those problems directly with them. And that exactly aligns with kind of the Icon and RX Safe businesses and what they've done in the pharmacy industry. The other piece of ITW is a very decentralized entrepreneurial culture that they try and foster in their businesses. Again, it's not this big conglomerate organization that's going to tell you how to do business and sell your products to the customers. They really trust that the individual business units know what's best for the business, and they provide a support structure around them to be successful and really drive that entrepreneurial, fast innovation type culture.
Eric, if I had a couple multi-millions of dollars sitting in my bank off to the side, not doing anything, I know why I would buy RX Safe. But why'd you buy RX Safe?
Sure. There's great synergy between Icon and RX Safe, and it gives us this opportunity to combine the technology and achieve what's best for RX Safe and Icon and their customers. I kind of look at the U.S. and the aging population. People are getting older. They are having more needs, from a prescription medication standpoint, and also the long-term care industry is really bouncing back, post-COVID. And I think RX Safe is really positioned themselves very well to grow in this marketplace with their Rapid Pack and their Rapid Card adherence packaging solutions. And they pair very well with the Icon and how they're set up to do the workflow. And so it's definitely kind of a match made in heaven for both product lines.
Could you share with me, Bill, Eric, it doesn't matter which one, share with me that strategic vision that you just mentioned, how RX Safe and Icon, how do you see this acquisition influencing the future of pharmacy automation?
Sure. So what we're doing is we're taking the Icon business and the RX Safe business and putting them together underneath a pharmacy automation business unit within ITW. And so we're separating it out from kind of some of the other core Avery Weightronics, ITW products, and really allowing it to focus specifically on pharmacy automation and those types of solutions to our customers. So, and it's our, to grow this to a division size, within ITW. So ITW has, an automotive division, test and measurement division, food division. This is our opportunity to create a pharmacy automation division within ITW.
And if I could add to that, Todd, I have every morning when I wake up for 16 years and came into the office, I started with, the question in top of mind was, how do we improve patient health? what's best for the industry. And we have, as you know, partnered with our customers through our entire history. And that's how we've learned about what's inadequate, frankly, with our competitors and how we could improve upon that. And when I set out on this mission 16 years ago, I didn't do it with the idea that someday we'd grow it to some size and then sell it to somebody and then whatever happens, happens. I did it for the industry. I did it for a legacy. I did it for my own personal legacy and satisfaction. And I have guaranteed the future as well as it could ever be guaranteed by saying, look, ITW is not a private equity firm. We've seen what happens when that kind of activity is roll up and then they cut the cost, fire people and sell it to somebody for too much money. And then, it doesn't serve the customers well at all. And I could never have accepted those kind of business terms. So what ITW does and what we'll do together that I think is so beneficial to this industry is this is a long-term strategy. These guys are not going to flip this company. They're not going to do something to change its DNA. They're going to help this company continue to develop new stuff, not imported from some other country, not 30-year-old technology, not dusted off with a new label or a decal. It's really core technologies like we've done in the past. We've only just begun. We now have the ability with the power and the financial strength and the ideas and the innovation that we've so clearly demonstrated over the years to take this company and the industry to a whole new level. And that will benefit our customers for years and years to come. Our staying power, our creativity, our dedication to patient health and to improving pharmacy's profitability are now doubled as a result of this operation. And putting ICON and RxSafe together under ITW's guidance and its financial support now allows us to share technologies, learn from one another, reflect from our customers' desires, and now serve the industry far better than we ever could have as an independently owned company.
It's incredible. All right. This is a question that makes me nervous, but I'm a transparent person, so my listeners know I say it how I think it, and that is, will the business name change, or are we going to keep RxSafe?
No change. No, both the Icon and RxSafe, brands are strong and very well known in this industry. So we're really going to drive both product lines together. There's obviously going to be opportunities for us to share technology and be able to infuse those pieces into each other's product lines. But the plan is to keep Icon and RxSafe, driving forward together.
That's awesome. All right. That was the right answer, by the way. So thumbs up from me. So let's talk about combining the entities, ensuring continuity, strengthening relationships with existing customers. Bill just said something that the independent community pharmacy market has experienced intensely over the last 5 years. And that is big organizations that have a ton of money. They come in and they buy a multitude of pharmacy management systems, for example, and they fuse them together. And there is a tremendous amount of problems that creates for the end user that becomes sometimes festers and it creates issues and even internal to the organization. So talk to us about the strength of the relationships, the existing organizations, and how RxSafe, Icon, ITW, how you guys are all coming together.
Yeah, I think it can be summed up very, very simply. We're both very humble. And what that means to me is, well, we're going to listen to each other, we're going to learn from each other, and we're going to help each other. As we go forward, and I can tell you this from the bottom of my heart, I'm absolutely certain about this. You will see this company be stronger, more unified, and more responsive to its customers than it ever could be before, because of the strength and the commitment that ITW is bringing to the table along with Icon. We now have more resources. I did my very best over 16 years to put every penny we earned in this company back into R&D and into customer support. But, honestly, it just never seemed like enough. And, it breaks my heart when we have a customer that's unhappy, that something's gone wrong that needs to be supported. It does happen in the world. You can't help it. But now I feel that we're going to be far more responsive and far more capable. ITW stands for integrity, reliability, honesty, ethics, and they have demonstrated that in their products. So we're going to learn at RxSafe about how to make products more reliable and how to support them better. And we're going to show ITW and ICON how to innovate faster and how to do things that are heretofore unknown. I come to this industry, in 1990, and have spent the entire, 34 years, I guess, if I get it right. I'm getting old, so my math isn't so good. But, starting with Pyxis, then Omnicell, and then other pharmacy-related businesses, I've dedicated my life to this. And so I want to see our customers succeed. I want to see them excel. I want them to overcome the challenges the world is placing on them. The external world we're in for pharmacy is not a pretty one. And so we need to help innovate and automate and reduce costs, improve quality, improve patient safety and health, and improve the bottom line of our pharmacies that choose to trust us for partnering with them for their automation needs. I can do that now better than I ever could by myself.
That's incredible. Well, we're excited about this this partnership that's being built. The Pharmacy Podcast Network will continue to be dedicated to pushing out messaging and programming from the RxSafe team, some of the best episodes that we've put out in order to support and inspire and help independent community pharmacies thrive, has been from RxSafe panel sessions and panel discussions. So we expect, obviously, that to continue, and we are in your corner. We're excited. What pharmacy conference are we going to see you at next, Bill, that we could talk more about the partnership?
Oh, I didn't bring the list. There's about 35 of them this year, like last year. We continue to support the industry the same way and be present in the industry the same way. There will be one difference in trade shows. Instead of having an ICON booth over here and an RxSafe booth over here where we're, doing things differently, you'll see that come together. It'll come together for the benefit of our patients. It'll come together for the benefit of the technologies, and it will help improve the products, reduce the costs, and deliver better service. So that's what we'll talk about at the trade shows.
Excellent. Eric, welcome to the family and the profession of pharmacy. We can't wait to hear more from you. We have to have you back on TWIRx. This Week in Pharmacy, you have to learn to twerk.
There we go. My teenage daughters will show it.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for being part of This Week in Pharmacy. We can't wait to learn more.
No,
fantastic. Thank you, Todd.
Appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right. That was a special announcement from the RxSafe team. Thank you, William, for being available and sharing that news with us, and the acquisition and what that means for our pharmacy markets and all the independent community pharmacies that rely on RxSafe for their multi-dose packaging, and how that's changing the lives of medication adherence and patients that are relying on their pharmacy and their medication. So kudos to the RxSafe team. All right. Our featured guest, Dr. James Wong. I am so excited that you're here. I want to welcome you to This Week in Pharmacy.
Hey, Todd, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here today.
You're very welcome. When I learned about what you were doing, I linked up with you on LinkedIn. I was like, all right, I started reading a little bit of your bio and what you're doing. And I'm like, I got to get this guy on TWIRx so that we can understand a little bit more about cryptocurrency and how that it could impact the life of our pharmacists or even our technicians or really anyone in the profession that understands it. But give us a little background on yourself, why you wanted to become a pharmacist, and then let's talk crypto.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit about myself. I am a pharmacist by trade. I've actually owned and operated pharmacies as well as skilled nursing facilities. Spent a lot of my time in psychiatry and mental health. 2020 happened, and I just kind of got burnt out from working in pharmacy. And I sort of knew about digital assets like Bitcoin and all these other different cryptocurrencies in college. But I sort of sat down in like 2019, 2020 and said, this is absolutely crazy for what the value proposition of what Bitcoin solves. So I sort of fell in love with that, but I couldn't really figure out how to connect the dots of, connecting Bitcoin to, say, healthcare. But I thought and created this idea. I founded Howdy. Basically, we're the first company to ever pass back drug rebates to customers who need to get prescription refills and pay out of pocket on them. What makes it really cool is that our drug rebates, they come in the form of Bitcoin.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
novel. Boy, that's something new. So let's start off there. The thing that I learned about 5 years ago was when someone announced blockchain and how blockchain was going to change the financial industry. Describe to us what cryptocurrency is. And I know that ties into the fundamentals of what is blockchain.
Sure. Well, cryptocurrency is kind of like a really large denominated word. It's probably easier to just define what Bitcoin is. It's more of like a digital payment and it's a network. So it's really two things: digital payment and a network. What makes it really cool is that it's an asset without an issuer. There isn't a central organization that influences the development or organization of Bitcoin. It's completely neutral in the sense that there isn't a central bank that can say, hey, I want to print some more money and cause other people's purchasing power to decrease because of inflation. It's truly amazing. And it's a global, worldwide recognized asset now.
So, in your opinion, based on probably being really knowledgeable and tracking what is crypto and Bitcoin, can you talk to us about different coins per se? There's one that's backed by silver. There's others that not quite sure how they're backed, but describe to us Bitcoin specifically.
Yeah, so it comes down to custody and property rights. With Bitcoin, if you're in control of your own keys and you control your own wallet, no one can really take away Bitcoin away from you. When you look at all these different other tokens that are, say, backed by gold or silver or some sort of commodity, it's more of like a paper IOU, very similar to what the US government did with, say, money back in, I would say, the 50s or 60s. You would be able to redeem, an ounce of gold for a couple dollars or so. It's not any different. Really don't know. You're still trusting a central party to make sure that they're doing the right thing. With Bitcoin, it's on a public ledger. Anyone can look at this and audit the books immediately and right away. It's completely efficient. So people will know right away immediately if you have the funds to settle immediately.
And how are you educating other pharmacists about this? Being that, if a fellow podcaster came to me and said, "Hey, I'm an expert in Bitcoin," I would appreciate that because I have something that I can relate to them with. Have you had pharmacists come to you to ask questions about in their own investments and how Bitcoin might impact that?
I'm so glad you asked me that question. This is actually a shout out to one of my professors, Adam K. He actually just messaged me on LinkedIn yesterday and was like, hey, just want to let you know, after the SEC approved the Bitcoin ETF, I decided to buy Bitcoin. And it was really cool, just coming from one of my pharmacy professors, like, hey, I'm really interested in learning more about Bitcoin. So I'll be doing a presentation for some of the pharmacy students actually later this month and next month on Bitcoin. But overwhelmingly, I think the younger generation of practitioners, they understand cryptocurrency. They understand the need for Bitcoin. It's been a little bit harder to sort of pitch this idea or to discuss about Bitcoin with people who are in the older generation, in my opinion.
So, do you think that there's an opportunity to use this form of currency to disrupt, let's say, medication management, medication accessibility, the world of, we're seeing a surge in cost plus models where they've completely removed the insurances and the PBMs. And do you see any kind of formula in that realm that could be attached back to Bitcoin?
Certainly. The first thing is, I mean, things like the Inflation Reduction Act, these are going to cause drugs to go up in price in the next 5, 10 years. A lot of people may end up seeing their prescriptions not covered, or they may have a higher copay or higher deductible. I probably see in the future a lot more people paying for medications out of pocket, and they'll be using the US dollar to do so. Well, the thing about the US dollar is we're printing more and more money. Our purchasing power as an individual keeps going down. Gas is getting more expensive. You start to say, well, if we're trying to save US dollars here in my bank account, I mean, a dollar today is definitely just worth a lot less tomorrow. When I look at Bitcoin, it's deflationary. It is by design. There's only 21 million Bitcoin and it's infinitely divisible. I look at this and say, well, the purchasing power of Bitcoin is actually increasing. An example I like to give you is, I was looking at this house near where I live is roughly going for about $500,000. This is pre-pandemic, and interest rates were about like 3% back then. That same house today is actually on the market for going for about $1 million at a 7% interest rate. The monthly payment would be about 2.5 times more if I were to purchase this house today compared to, pre-pandemic. But what's really interesting to look at this and say, well, how much is this priced in Bitcoin? That $500,000 house is roughly worth 60 Bitcoin back in the pre-pandemic era. But now that same exact house going for $1 million, it's worth 20 Bitcoin. When you start to look at things on the Bitcoin standard, you start to say, well, things are getting a lot more affordable and it's a lot cheaper. You have all these different countries like El Salvador, Argentina just gravitating towards Bitcoin standard because they look at this and say, this is a great way to solve for hyperinflation.
That's a really good explanation. How can pharmacists, technicians, pharmacy professionals, how can they connect with you and learn more from you specifically?
I'm definitely on LinkedIn. You can look me up, James Wong, PharmD. If you're interested in referring your customers or your, say, a business that has a lot of employees or members that pay for medications out of pocket, we'd love to work with you. We do pass back drug rebates in the form of Bitcoin. You can visit us on nihowdy.com, NIHOWDY.com.
That is so cool. I told you, James, I have an idea to put together a panel discussion of people that are in pharmacy, in our profession, that are trusted. Dr. Tim Ulbrich comes to mind. He's one of the smartest, financial-driven pharmacists, written a couple books, and people really trust him, and they kind of trust his guidance and his team's guidance. I think it'd be really cool to put together a panel discussion of multiple people that includes the realm of cryptocurrency and how that's going to impact the future and how that's going to impact a pharmacist's career in saving and investing. And so would you be interested in something like that?
Definitely. I got to tell you, Bitcoin, it's the most asymmetrical bet of our generation. It solves for three things. It solves for hyperinflation, which affects roughly 30, 40 million people. There's about 3 billion people in this world that don't have a bank account that are unbanked. Bitcoin solves for that. And there's roughly about 3 to 4 billion people in this world that can have their financial transactions censored by the government. Bitcoin solves for that.
Wow.
This is probably the craziest thing since the internet.
I got to convert all of my crypto that's backed by silver to Bitcoin. I might actually look you up again on later next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Dr. James Wong, PharmD, thank you so much for being on This Week in Pharmacy. We want to have you back. Like I said, I want to dig into this like I said, let's put together a panel discussion, but thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot for having me.
All right. So as the profession is evolving, I keep saying that, and it's happening as we see it. So is This Week in Pharmacy. So I want to let the listeners know that we are going to start having, and this is a call out to you listeners as well, if you're interested in being part of this, we are going to start having multiple correspondents giving us information to the This Week in Pharmacy weekly podcast so that you, the listener, are getting more important information coming from trusted sources, and that is people in our industry that are working it, that are in charge of, let's say, state associations. So I want to bring on Dr. Marcy Strauss, PharmD, who's also the president of the Maryland Pharmacists Association, who is now joining TWIRx, This Week in Pharmacy, as our first correspondent. And with that, I'd like to welcome Marcy Strauss. Hey, and on This Week in Pharmacy, I have a special announcement. We're going to be doing additional collaborations with a lot of our leaders in our pharmacy, in our nation, in our profession. Dr. Marcy Strauss is going to join the This Week in Pharmacy as a correspondent, I guess you could say. I don't know what the official name is, Marcy, but say hi to the listeners and let them know what you're going to be doing on This Week in Pharmacy.
Hi, everyone. I think correspondent sounds good right now, Todd. Guest host, correspondent, a few different names you could go with, but so excited to be here, and thanks to all our listeners. So some of you may have heard my name floating around before, but for those of you who I have not had a chance to meet or are new, as I mentioned, I am Marcy Strauss. I often introduce myself to many people as the non-traditional community pharmacist, I should say, or my career has taken quite a unique pathway. Started out the traditional route in retail community pharmacy, and However, I wanted to do more with my PharmD. So it kind of took me towards the independent pharmacy route, where I spent much of my career more on the corporate side. So working to help support independent community pharmacies with implementing and expanding their services in their stores and really helping them to thrive in today's landscape. So I worked to build up a clinical programs department to support them, and also been working in the consulting space, and again, continuing to provide that education and support to community pharmacies, and currently work in the digital health space as a clinical operations director for a healthcare tech startup. Kind of on the side, still in the pharmacy world, I currently serve as the president of the Maryland Pharmacists Association. So gives me an opportunity to give back and tie into my passions and interests. But really, what brings me here to today, chatting with you, Todd, and to the This Week in Pharmacy podcast is something that's always kind of been near and dear to my heart, is working with pharmacists, pharmacy students, new practitioners, and helping them kind of find their niche, and helping to inspire and educate others and see what are the opportunities out there for pharmacists to really apply all of their awesome skill sets and interests. As the pharmacy field continues to expand, there's so many different avenues for pharmacists, and we're seeing all across the nation, especially in the past few years, new legislation that has passed, and which is resulting in new ways for pharmacists to get paid, to apply their license and their skill set. So want to be able to share with our listeners, what are some of those different opportunities that are out there to be able to connect your values, your passions, also with your training and your skill set. So we'll be bringing on some potential guest speakers to share with you the path that they have taken and opportunities where they have applied their skills in a unique way, but also share with our listeners, hey, where are some opportunities that are out there right now? What are some ways that you can connect and tie in those visions, those passions and values into your day-to-day? So really excited to be here with everyone.
This is exciting. There's a pedigree to Dr. Strauss that the listeners may not realize. So Marcy helped a multitude, hundreds of community pharmacy owners with a lot of their strategies about how to develop new things for their business. She got to try ones that worked and ones that didn't work, and then it made adjustments through her relationship with Pharmacy Development Services years ago. That's actually where I met you, Marcy, was at one of their annual events. And why that is exciting is your mixture of digital health technology, your mixture of understanding how reimbursements truly work, not just fundamental or not just conceptual, but actually how are pharmacies getting paid. And now you combine that with your representation of leadership with the presidency of the Maryland Pharmacists Association. This brings in a nice mix, a nice resource, which is why I'm excited that you're joining the This Week in Pharmacy team, that you are bringing another perspective to the news and to the weekly show. We'll have you on periodically as many times as you want to come on, but it's going to really be encouraging to hear from someone that really has your finger on the pulse of our industry, more specifically to our independent community pharmacy owners. But I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, and to discuss those things and to share just interest and other opportunities in pharmacy with our listeners as the profession continues to evolve and grow.
What about conferences? Which conferences will we see you at in 2024?
Yeah, so actually, I'm in the process of planning now my trip to the APHA annual meeting in Orlando. It's going to be at the end of March. So it's a meeting that I attend every year, and it's such a great opportunity to network and connect and reconnect with pharmacy colleagues from all different practice areas and all over the country. So always excited for that. I know that, like, you and I had a chance to record a previous podcast episode at that meeting. So it's always an exciting time for pharmacy, and always nice to be in sunny Orlando as well.
Yes, at this time of year up here in the Pittsburgh area, it's 39 degrees and gray and and wet out there. I'd go for snow if we had sun. I'd go for 22 degrees and sunshine over this 39 and abysmal. I also want to mention, Marcy, that during the APHA, we'll be in their booth managing their Locked On Pharmacy podcast, which is the official podcast of the APHA. We want to have you back. I'd like to have you come in and give us some pointers about business development for community pharmacies, for independent community pharmacies. And let's just discuss what's on your mind while you're there. But I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I would love that and look forward to seeing you and everyone there as well. I think it's going to be a great event.
All right, Marcy, we're looking forward to This Week in Pharmacy segments with you, and whatever the listeners want to kind of connect with you, how they want to connect with you, what's the best way to do so? Is it LinkedIn? Is it another social media form?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn is probably the best way for interested listeners to connect with me. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can always send me a direct message, and I try to check that on a regular basis. I believe my email is also in there in my profile, so you're welcome to send me an email as well.
Excellent. Dr. Marcy Strauss, we're excited about you becoming a correspondent of This Week in Pharmacy, the official title. There you go. And we will hear from you soon.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, really excited.
All right. That is exciting. This Week in Pharmacy is evolving. We're so excited that we're going to have some correspondence. Shout out to Marcy Strauss. Thank you so much for your dedication to our profession and being part of our show. Darshan Kulkarni, who is Dr. Kulkarni, is also a lawyer. He has also committed to becoming a steady part of developing pieces of news that are interesting, that are specific to pharmaceutical medication management and things that are happening maybe in clinical trials. He's such an interesting person. He runs a podcast that's been part of our network for years called Darshan Talks. I'm so excited that he will also be a new correspondent on This Week in Pharmacy. If you're listening to This Week in Pharmacy, and once again, you want to suggest a show, please let us know. Before we wrap up, I do want to share one more interview with you, and that is, I am so blessed that when I tap into other networks of podcasters through the Healthcare Amplified Network, that's the conference that I'll be speaking at on January 25th. I get to meet other podcasters who are attached to other facets of healthcare, and Christy Clark is a advocate for patient health in the realm of hospice and also breast cancer awareness. So I want to share a very special interview with Christy Clark, who's known as the Blonde Bombshell. Hey, and on This Week in Pharmacy, we continue to expand outside of pharmacy directly and start connecting with professionals, healthcare professionals, and in my case, other content developers who really understand how to care for patients that are going through something very specific. And with that, I'd like to welcome Christy Clark, known as the Blonde Bombshell. Christy, I love your marketing. I love you taking control of your own brand to bring attention to something so sensitive, the sensitivity around being an advocate for people and families that are going through hospice and palliative care. Welcome to This Week in Pharmacy.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So right out of the gate, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose the Blonde Bombshell as kind of a brand that you could bring people's attention to, and then do some things through advocating for people that are involved in hospice.
Absolutely. So I sort of have this brand that came together uniquely. I've always been in healthcare, in hospice and home health. I worked for the government side of things with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services for one of their contractors. And that led me into working for an actual hospice. And now I work for one of the largest hospice in the Southeast as their director of corporate affairs. So I've always been in kind of legislative policy type changes. And as my journey of that was going along with my career, in 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it brought healthcare right to me. And as somebody fairly young being diagnosed with breast cancer, I found that I could not find answers to what I was looking for. What was chemo like? What would I go through with a double mastectomy? What about reconstruction? Lots of things. And the biggest hurdle I found was that I was going through this during the height of the pandemic. So I really had to be an advocate for myself because of the pandemic. But I also saw that even if I was able to have family there, being an advocate is so important for your healthcare and the journey you want to take. And then being able to be in those rooms with people during hospice care and electing hospice for my career, that's really where the advocacy plays a role, from anything from being younger to being diagnosed to end of life care.
So now we're blending that with something that you and I both share, and that is the element of being content developers. And your situation is so special because of your own personal experiences with breast cancer, but also the extension of your advocacy for hospice. So talk to me about being a superstar in content development, because your content we're showing on the screen right now, if you're watching on YouTube, Christy's Instagram. It's just so professional. It's done so well.
Thank you so much. So I was Mrs. American last year. I was during my journey of breast cancer, I really wanted to show people that you can thrive and after any of life's storms, but especially for my 1 in 8 warrior women who go through breast cancer. So I started the blog, The Blonde Bombshell, which was a blog that talks about my journey. It's a sweet name that my husband gave me years ago, and it just sort of fit. You know, when you're going through breast cancer, you don't feel like a bombshell. And so I thought, well, this is a great way to share my journey so people could find out the information I was unable to find. And that sent me or led me to being in Mrs. South Carolina American and having won that title, and then going on to Mrs. American. And so a lot of my journey you see on my Instagram page and my content is just that. It's my journey throughout breast cancer to being Mrs. American, to everything that I was able to do and be an advocate for that. And really the importance of branding myself so that women, both men and women, but women especially, could find the information that they wanted and know that they could absolutely thrive after life's storms.
That's excellent. I love that messaging. I love the positivity. I love the fact that you're using modern technology to reach the attention of people who need to hear this messaging. And you are participating in Healthcare Amplified coming at the end of the month, as am I. I'm going to be speaking there. You're going to be speaking there as well. Talk to me about bringing professionals together in such a special opportunity in the world of content development, and in our case, podcasting as well.
Yeah, this is such an incredible opportunity. I speak all around. Obviously, having been Miss American, I was able to travel and speak. I was the keynote speaker for Susan G. Komen on Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill. And that's led to sort of this Healthcare Amplified, just amazing summit that's going on during the same time as PodFest in Florida. So I am excited to be one of their fireside chat panelists. I'm excited to talk about that, both from the standpoint of me being a patient and an advocate for my own health, but then to also talk about it from my career, which is in hospice care and being an advocate even at end of life care. So I do have a different and unique perspective of both being a patient myself and then working with those who are at the end of their life and choosing to have more and a different type of end of life care. So I'm very excited to be one of the fireside chat panelists and be able to talk with Sabrina, meet everybody, talk about the importance of using the technology that we have in order to get your message out. Excellent.
Christy, you're going to be leading the How to Build a Celebrity Brand for Patient Advocacy with the superstar Sabrina Runbeck, and she's just been tremendous. I'm so excited to have met her through John Largent, who focuses on our seniors and senior care. This Healthcare Amplified is a rocket ship of professionals that are coming together to really start working together, to collaborate, and to see solutions come to be from our passion, which is almost like it started as a hobby to podcast, but now this is it. Like, this is a new media form in order to reach people's attention, give them the best information, and do it with love and kindness. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited to actually meet you in person in Orlando. Thank you for coming on This Week in Pharmacy. We have to have you back because I'd like to dig down and I'd like to get a pharmacist in our talk with you to talk about the sensitivity and the special care that is involved in hospice. And we'd like to feature you in an upcoming This Week in Pharmacy on that.
I would love that. I can't wait to be back. Can't wait to see you in Orlando.
All right. We'll see you soon. Stay warm, by the way. It's cold here.
Thanks.
See ya. All right. What an exciting This Week in Pharmacy this has been. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, if there's anything that our organization, our publication, and our team can do for you, as well as 50 plus participants on this network that are just stacked with resources, please reach out to us. Know that we are here for you. We are dedicated to you and the success of our profession. We actually absolutely care about you. I hope to see you at a conference at some point this year. The next one that we're going to is going to be PodFest in the Healthcare Amplified. Watch our social media. We'll be having some tickets available to you. But I thank you for listening to This Week in Pharmacy. I'm your host, Todd Urey, founder of the Pharmacy. Have a great week.